the symbol of quality entertainment, Guffey-Ranker Video.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Dean Martin Comedy Hour presents a special one-hour roast with tonight's guests, Dom DeLuise, Bob Newhart, Joey Bishop, Jack Benny, Dionne Warwick, George Burns, Red Fox, Senator Barry Goldwater, Jonathan Winters, Rich Little, Ruth Buzzy, Betty Davis, Doc Severinson, Foster Brooks, George Gobel, Martin Milner, Cliff Robertson, Kent McCord, Truman Capote, your roastmaster, Dean Martin, and tonight's very special Man of the Week, Johnny Carson.
Johnny Carson is a comedian who is seen every night in millions of bedrooms all over America, and that's why his last wife left him. He found out he gave a better performance in those bedrooms than he did in his own. Johnny's certainly come a long way in this business. He was born and raised on a farm outside of Norfolk, Nebraska. I know he's a real farm boy because last night I saw him at the bar with a couple of pigs. However, Johnny was the pride of the Carson family. Only once did he get into trouble. They caught him stealing Yule Gibbons' hickory nuts and selling them to the squirrels. After appearing in some amateur shows, he moved to Hollywood. I go right along, you know that? And he got started in television as the host of a game show called Earn Your Vacation. And it did. It earned him a vacation for about 5 years. He was so desperate, he played nightclubs doing his ventriloquist act. One night, someone stole his dummy, so he got a new one, Ed McMahon. Ed McMahon would have been here tonight, but he's doing a commercial for Budweiser, driving a team of Clydesdales. I don't know why they need Ed. You'd think 6 fat horses would be enough. A lot's going to be said about Johnny tonight, but I just want to say one thing. He never met a wife he didn't like. It's nice to have George Burns with us. George, really, you look so young. But then, sitting next to Jack Benny, anybody'd look young. Nobody in our business knows how old George is, and I don't think they care. All I know... See, that wasn't on the cue card. I read that last... All I know is that he was the first man to ever molest a girl in a Stanley steamer. A great comedian, Mr. George Burns, ladies and gentlemen.
Dean, I want to thank you for that darling introduction. It was short, but it was darling. And to show my appreciation, anytime you want to go out with my sister Goldie, I'll be glad to fix it for you. If you like older women, Goldie invented it. And the nice thing about going out with Goldie, Dean, is that you can't hurt yourself. Well, Johnny, this is your evening. I want to tell you that I watch your show practically every night. 11:30, I turn on the set, lie in bed with my clothes off, and you're very, very funny. The other night, I came in kind of late, and I watch you with my clothes on. Somehow, you're funnier with my clothes off. And, come to think of it, I'm funnier with my clothes off. But you know, it's not easy to be a guest of honor. You got to sit here and be able to take it. Got to listen to all these insults and the terrible things they say about you and the intimate things they say about you that you really resent. But Johnny is a perfect guest of honor. So he sits here and he laughs. The more you insult him, the harder he laughs. And if you get a real big laugh from Johnny, I mean a big one, that means you'll never do a show again. And you know, now take Jack Benny. You'd think that he'd be a great guest of honor, but he's not. It's very hard to make him laugh. And he's seen me with my clothes off. And that's my funniest bit. But Johnny is a perfect guest of honor because he looks so good. He's always well-dressed, looks charming. He looks wonderful sitting here at the table. He's very exciting under the table, too. But Johnny has made a fortune not only in show business, he's now in the clothing business. Owns the company. Sells very hard, too. Every time I meet him, he opens up his coat, he says, "Feel my lining." In my age, feeling red silk is very exciting. I wouldn't have a coat with red silk lining. Feeling red silk against my body, I'd be afraid to dance with my sister Goldie. Anyway, Johnny, I'm glad I was asked to say a few words tonight. When I get home tonight, I'll certainly watch your show and keep it clean. I hate jumping up every minute to put my clothes on.
Thank you, George. Next, we have a brilliant writer and a close friend of Johnny's, Mr. Truman Capote. You all remember Truman's big hit book, In Cold Blood? That's the story of Johnny's second divorce settlement. Mr. Truman Capote.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. I'm very pleased to be here tonight. I've appeared on Johnny's show 28 times. That's 3 times more than he has. The Tonight Show is the most successful talk show in history, so they say. But what is a talk show? It's very difficult to define. A talk show is a show that crams 30 minutes of entertainment into 90. A talk show is a show that allows a family of 10 to go to the bathroom watching a commercial break and not miss a thing. I'm glad Doc Severson could make it tonight.
No, that's my card.
I'm sorry.
Glad Doc Severson could make it tonight.
Good.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weirdo with a horn, Doc Severson.
Thank you very much, Dino, and thank you very much, Truman. I'm glad you could make it tonight. I'm here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, to salute a great man. Johnny Carson is the kindest, warmest, most wonderful human being that I've ever known. And as if that wasn't enough, he's probably the greatest comedy genius since Charlie Chaplin. Oh, hell, Johnny, I can't read this stuff you wrote for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joey Bishop.
Boy, the two of us on the same show. Dean, you're a phenomenon. You look like Cary Grant and you smell like Ed McMahon. The shows we have to do just to help you pay alimony. Now, you know, I do it for 7 weeks a year. And for this, I'm very grateful. But all of you must have wondered at one time or another, why? Are we close friends? I have something on them. You've heard of the Watergate cover-up? I would now like to reveal the Johnny Carson cover-up. Now, John, you may be offended by this, but I think truth will out. Johnny Carson is Jewish. Why he pretends not to be, why he's ashamed of it is something I'll never know. Nathan? Oh, that's his real name, Nathan Margolis. The next time you're watching the Johnny Carson show, you know he reads the cue cards, right? Look closely, you'll see him reading them from right to left. Then you see him advertising the Johnny Carson suits, which happens to be the real family business. The whole family of tailors, lovely folks. Don't be ashamed, John. You're own up to what the hell. Tell them your father and Sam and Ruth Margolis, his mother and father. And it was his ancestor, Chaim Margolis, who made George Washington's uniform. As a matter of fact, the night before the show, and I thank you very much, Johnny took these pants in for me. I appreciate it. Now, we have many, many more guests. John, don't be embarrassed now. You're a success. You don't have to be embarrassed anymore. Now, my advice to you is, I know how tired a crowd like this gets. The minute I sit down, you get up, sing one chorus of Hava Nagil, and let's get the hell out of here.
I don't know why you're saying all these terrible things about Johnny. He came to my assistance one night during a very sordid incident in Central Park. I was struggling in the bushes with this big, burly man with burning black eyes and hot breath, when luckily Johnny happened along and came to my assistance and held the man down while I kissed him. Then I held the man down while Johnny kissed him. Don't forget, Johnny, next Saturday night, same park, same bush.
Now, John, your personal psychiatrist, Dr. Kevin Bradshaw.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. I almost didn't make it here tonight. I had an emergency call to examine Ed McMahon's head. All better. You know, Johnny Carson has the image of being a swinger. That is true. You all feel that about him, but in reality, he's not that at all. I remember the first time he came to my office and I said to him, Johnny, I would like you to lie down on the couch. And he said that he wouldn't do it unless I married him first. I tried a word association test and I told him to say the first thing that came into his mind. And I said, tree. He said, sex. I said, turpentine. He said, sex. I said, pretzel. He said, sex. I said, girl. He said, chair. I said, chair? He said, I gotta rest sometime. Realizing that I could do no more for him, I simply said that'd be $20. He said, sex.
Thank you, Don DeLuise. I'm glad Bob Newhart found time to drop in because he's so busy with his own TV show. Incidentally, Bob, I saw your show last Saturday, but under very bad conditions. My set was turned on. and gentlemen, my very witty friend, Mr. Bob Newhart.
I hope I don't repeat anything someone else has said about Johnny, but I fell asleep. But continuing our trip down memory lane, Johnny, as you all know, Johnny and I are good friends. He gave me one piece of advice outside of Sneaky Pete's on Sunset Boulevard. About 4 o'clock in the morning, Johnny turned to me and said, well, and I'm having that made into a saying that I can put on my bedroom wall. See, now I decided not to go to their stuff, but now I'm beginning to wonder. That's the biggest one on that page, yeah. Some of you may not know this. Johnny's first wife was named Joan. Second wife was Joanne. His present wife is Joanna. The man just won't go for new towels. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Louisa Moritz.
As you know, I've appeared on The Tonight Show many times, and it's always been a wonderful experience. Everybody connected with the show has been so kind to me, like Ed McMahon. If it wasn't for Ed, I never would have been on The Tonight Show. He was the one who set up the audition for me at 2 a.m. in Johnny's apartment. Severance, and as soon as I met him, he offered to give me a free examination. And of course, Johnny himself, he's always so complimentary. I remember the very first time he saw me, he said, "What a peach." Or was it a pear?